American was talking to, this is back when the Soviet Union was in existence, an American and someone in the Soviet Union was, they were arguing, and the American said, well, the thing about my country is I could march into Mr. Reagan's office right now, and I could look at him in the eye and say, Mr. Reagan, I do not appreciate the way you're running this country. And the guy from the Soviet Union said back to the American, he said, I can do that. I can go down to the premier's office and look at him in the eye and tell him, Mr. Premier, I don't like the way Mr. Reagan's running America.
Yeah. I was going to say.
You knew that you saw that coming?
No.
That's like a Bob Hope joke. You know the punchline before about 30% into it.
Yeah. No, I was thinking if he said that about the premier or whoever, he'd get shot.
Yeah, well, he would. But the thing is, that's a really big deal for people. You know, when I was in China, I've been there a couple times, and it was very interesting because I would ask them questions that they weren't really supposed to answer. You know, the one-child policy.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of stuff, and when you start to talk to them about that, we had a translator, but you could tell they were getting very nervous. Nobody knows who being listened to. We hooked up with the NBC correspondent over there for a couple of days, and he said, you know, we can talk, but we have to do it out on the street because I know my office is and my home is bugged, and probably your hotel room, because we were there as journalists, and it's that's a big deal. And I know we're getting there now, kind of with the NSA program.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
But the thing is, I mean, they know.
It's just a given.
People, here's the thing the guy told me, the NBC correspondent. He says, we know when people have when they've pissed off the government, they just disappear.
Mm.
Nobody knows where they went.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy who runs the bakery down the street, all of a sudden, there's a new guy running the bakery. Where'd young Chow Hoon go? Oh, we don't know. His wife and kids are all gone.
So you live in constant fear.
Constant fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big deal.
Wow.
And the reason that we have that is because men and women in uniform. Because they stand up to that kind of tyranny. So what do you say about people like that? What do you say about people who get up every day and actually put on their uniforms and decide, not only am I going to, you say, well, you look at our police force, they put their uniform every day and they put themselves in harm's way. It's a very honorable thing. But men and women in uniform who serve in our military, they realize that they can be sent to places where there are landmines every two miles. And they're not going to see their kids or their pregnant wife for 6 months, a year. Some of these guys, I remember I played golf with one guy out at Elmendorf. He just got back from his 4th tour.
Wow.
4th tour. He'd lost his wife. She had enough after the 2nd tour. And he was not a happy man, You could tell it had started to take a toll on him. So there's a lot of sacrificing going on.
Well, and especially in this atmosphere that we have going on with our administration, I think it would be really difficult to choose that path under Obama and his administration. Because you've got Obama going over to other countries and basically apologizing, and yesterday I saw a video of him wearing the uniform of China and looking like a dictator.
Yeah. As he's talking about taking over the internet.
Yes, exactly, which is what they do, and that's a very communistic ideal. But we need more men and women who are willing to defend the Constitution. And I really almost look up more to the people who go and volunteer now, knowing who they're serving under. So I would really, I don't know, I just have a huge debt of thanks to them for being willing to do that.
Well, I know so many people who joined right after 9/11 because of 9/11. And successful people. I know of a guy who was a money manager on Wall Street making 6 figures. And he decided, my country's more important. Very good. Dan Sullivan's one of those guys. And that's amazing to me, that you would be so moved, because we're all moved by 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
All of us saw that and thought, wow. But that some people would say, what, I'm not going to just say wow. I'm not going to just be sad. I'm going to do something. Mm-hmm. And they joined, and I think George Bush did a valiant job leading the military. They liberated 50 million people. 50 million people. Half of those were women who were not allowed to read, not allowed to walk down the street unless their husband was next to them, weren't allowed education, were stoned if they looked the wrong way. Now, I know that Mr. Obama has squandered that sacrifice, and Iraq is now a mess. They're killing Christians, stoning them just because they're Christians. But boy, you look at what our military has done in the short 240 years now, whatever. What this group, these people who wear the uniform, what they have accomplished when it comes to spreading freedom. There's no group that parallels that throughout world history. If you know anything about world history, there's no comparable group. And the men and women in uniform in our country who have done these great things, they've done it out of the right heart. They've done it for the right reasons. Not everybody, but most of them. One of my great privileges in life as a news reporter, especially when I came to Anchorage, is traveling with the military. I went on many overseas trips with these guys. I would get embedded with them, and I'm telling you, these people are amazing.
They do things that we can't even imagine.
They're just a different. They're just a different group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone trip. I've been to North Korea, not going to South Korea. I've been to Japan several times. Been to Russia with the military. Been to China. We didn't go to China with the military, but I've traveled extensively with the military, and I'm talking about embedding with them, getting in a C-130 and flying with them for 2 weeks, hanging out with them at night when they go out drinking, and watching them during the day. And I'm telling you, the thing that struck me about the folks in uniform, and it's different than the rest of us civilians, is they understand their purpose in life. If they don't succeed, we're all in a heck of a lot of trouble. They understand that they're the line between evil and tyranny and the rest of us. They're the line between their little niece and nephew or son or daughter back at home and Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden and Vladimir Putin and all these people. They get that. It's like they walk it. They carry it. They understand their purpose is so strong. And it gives them kind of a confidence. It's not a cockiness. It's not a I'm better than you, but it's I'm here for a purpose. What I'm doing is important. And the more you hang around folks in the military, especially when they're all together, and the love they have for each other, it's tangible. You can cut it with a knife. And I remember one morning I played basketball with a bunch of guys back when I was in better shape in Japan. And one of the guys got up and like twisted his ankle real bad. And I played basketball my whole life with all kinds of different people. And everybody immediately got around him. You okay, man? It was like I could just tell there's a camaraderie there. So I can't personally say enough about men and women in uniform and what they've meant and do for us and the sacrifice they make.
Yeah. Well.
And their families.
Yeah. Oh,
Ugh.
Same thing there. I remember we were in Okinawa, and we did a Skype call with the guy and his wife. He hadn't seen his wife in a long time, and we had a camera crew here, and it actually wasn't a Skype call. It was just a regular phone call. And we had a camera here, we had a camera there, and then we edited it all back together. And it was just so exciting to see, their reaction. And then when he eventually got home, we showed it them all. And yeah, I mean, the sacrifice that the wives or husbands and the kids make. It's just a lot of sacrificing going on, There's just a lot of sacrificing. And I know we all try to do our part. I know you're very charitable-minded, Glenn, and I know you sacrifice a lot for your community and your culture. But
I don't like to compare myself to
no,
a soldier.
and I'm not. And I know a lot of Americans do a lot to make their world a better place. But what the men and women in uniform do, and they're not getting rich. They're not getting rich.
Mm.
So it's a day we really should, I think. And you look at September 11th. Glenn, if I would have told you September 11th, 2001, at midnight, or say September 2nd, we're not going to have another major terrorist attack for 12, 14 years. you would have said, no, Dan, this is a new way. Well, I'm telling you, it's the even with a weak president as we've had recently, it's the might and the strength and the power of the U.S. military that keeps evil at bay.
Mm-hmm.
It does, and that's why we can't survive Barack Obama.
It's the only language most evil people understand.
Yes, it really is. And that's just one of the many reasons we can't survive Mark Barack Obama much longer, because he has so gutted the military. And Condoleezza Rice said it yesterday. No one listens to us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're becoming more and more irrelevant under this president. So as long as he keeps heading us down this apology tour,
dressing like Mao Zedong,
saying I'm going to take over the internet.
Oh, God.
It's a big deal. 569-1080. 569-1080. That's the number if you'd like to join the show. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Broadcasting KOAN, KVNT. Time 6:29.
Juneau police are investigating a man who was spotted secretly videotaping children in a store. An employee followed the man around until police arrived. Fish and Game officials have warned residents of South Central that many bears have not denned up for the winter yet. And finally, a Fairbanks man has been arrested for allegedly posing as a police officer to extort cash from prostitutes. 26-year-old Jace Connors is accused of falsely telling prostitutes he worked in law enforcement and would make trouble for them if they didn't make payments to him. Police say his reported victims who came forward to tell investigators what happened will not be prosecuted for prostitution. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Rather cloudy today with a little rain, high 43. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a passing shower, low 33. Sun and some clouds tomorrow with a high 41 and a low tomorrow night of 23. Then for Thursday, partial sunshine throughout the day, high 36. Friday, sunshine, high 37. Then Saturday, sunshine and patchy clouds, high 34. Hot Talk breaking news and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today. And if you live in Anchorage, delivery is free. Wait, what did I just say? Delivery is free if you live in Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best Split Firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928 and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool. Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage. Amid the frenetic pace of holiday season, let Logistics LLC ease the pressure and stress of holiday hosting. Team Logistics is passionate about their work and welcomes the opportunity to transform your vision into reality by combining creative whimsy and imagination with an in-depth attention to detail. No matter the size of your holiday party, their extensive skill and ability to work seamlessly with you means they can help you organize an unforgettable event that is sure to wow your guests. Dream big! Logistics LLC will design, plan, and create a memorable event that will impress without negatively impacting your budget. Think Logistics LLC and watch them build an environment filled with magic and wonder for your holiday guests. Make Logistics LLC your first call when planning your corporate or family holiday party this season. Get a free quote and more information online at logisticsllc.com or give them a call at 276-6060. That's 276-6060.
Is your IT department burdened with first-line support calls about printer jams and broken printers? Are individual departments purchasing expensive printer cartridges that get buried in office supply budgets? Is your printer support strategy really a printer replacement plan? Let Alaska Enterprise Solutions show you how to reduce those high print costs. AES is a Xerox professional agency in Alaska with Xerox's worldwide support behind them. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk, KOAN, brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
When I grew up, I wanted to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
Oh, an Olympic gymnast.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream. For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Do you remember that Beatles song? If the rain comes, they'll run and hide their heads. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, if that's you and you're inside your home or office, it's time to call Earhart Roofing. Call Earhart Roofing for all your roofing needs. Flat or pitched, large or small, Earhart Roofing will do the job quickly, and they'll do it right. Earhart Roofing, big enough to serve you and still small enough to care. Call 345-5555. That's 345-5555.
All my life, I've enjoyed hunting and fishing, but as I got older, it made it harder to enjoy the Alaskan outdoors. Thanks to Chugach Chiropractic, I'm back on the stream enjoying Alaska.
Besides aligning the spine, we also deal with the musculature and the nervous system of the body. To do that, we not only adjust the spine, but we also balance muscles along with various therapies and deep tissue therapy. We help bring the body back to normal function.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN. Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley. KVNT.
Well, good morning to you. 6:36 in the morning. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie on this Veterans Day. Hopefully you'll take a little time today and just remember all the incredible things our veterans serving now and having served have done to improve, well, not really improve our life, give us a life of freedom. Because a life without freedom is no life. We're broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT. Also, danfagan.us is where we're streaming. Our number 569-1080. It was a bombshell comment yesterday, Glenn. And, you'll never see anything written about it in the Anchorage Daily News. You're not going to see this comment on NBC News, CNN. But it was literally a confession of as Brian said, Perry Mason magnitude. When the architect of Obamacare admitted that had they come clean and told the American people this is a tax, which it is, or had they come clean and told the American people that this is a redistribution of wealth, which it is, it would have never passed. And then the architect said, the lack of transparency is a real political advantage, I believe was his quote.
Yeah.
And then he said, call it, if you want to, the stupidity of voters. And what he was really doing is he was calling voters people who support Democrats, not Republicans, not conservatives, Democrats. Stupid. He was calling them stupid.
Well, that they depend on their stupidity.
That they, as architects of the left, architects of the leftist agenda, it is imperative that we have stupid followers.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing confession.
Well, it's important for people to realize, and this should be played. In my mind, this is essentially what Republicans need to let people know, because people don't like to be called stupid, especially by the people they voted for. That's a pretty offensive thing to say, but it's very honest for this guy to say it. He was talking specifically here about transparency. In other words, if the voters knew what we were up to. Now that depends on several things. First of all, because the voters never asked, because Democrats just say, oh, well, is this a Democrat bill? Oh, good. What's in it? We don't care.
Yes.
It's a Democrat bill.
Like
we know
Nancy
the Republicans are bad. Yeah.
We have to pass it to know what's
exactly. So that's the first thing. The Democrats know that the enemy line is much more important than, okay, well, what are you actually up to? Are you doing something good with your political power? Most Democrats don't care. And so they don't care about transparency.
Okay,
Now,
I got it ready if you want to hear it too.
Okay, well, it's important for people to actually hear this.
This is what is his name, Brian? It says there on my here. I'll tell you what. Hold on a second. Don't go anywhere.
The Obamacare architect.
Goober.
Yeah.
From MIT.
Gruber was his name. Yeah. Give me 2 seconds.
I call him Goober.
Yeah, Jonathan Gruber.
MIT health economist.
Isn't that the guy from Die Hard?
Who helped craft the Affordable Care Act. He basically admitted that he counted on the stupidity of voters to pass the legislation. Here's the clip.
It's just, you can't do it politically. You just literally cannot do it. Okay? Transparent financing, and let's have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay? So it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage, and basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to get anything to pass. And it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We could make it all transparent. But I'd rather have this law than not. So it's kind of like his reporter story. Yeah, there's things I wish I could change, but I'd rather have this law than not.
When he says lack of transparency is a political advantage, what he's really saying is lack of honesty. Really, transparency and honesty are the same thing. And he's saying our ability to deceive, our ability to spin, is a huge political advantage. And let me ask you a question, Glen Biegel. Is there a man on the planet who employs deception more than Mark Begich?
Everything he said when he was on the show was either an outright lie or it was at best half true.
And it has it not?
Literally everything he said. I would question him everything, things that he had made the point of just months earlier, and he called me basically a liar. He said, that's a Republican talking point. That is translated into, for Democrats, you're lying.
And is this
and it was just the point he'd made 2 months earlier.
And is this not a huge political advantage for him?
Well, the political advantage here, by the way, lack of transparency. There is one group that keeps our government honest above all things, and that's the media. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's so important for Republicans to run things, because they're actually held accountable. Democrats are not held accountable, and this is it's a lightning bolt of reality here, that this guy depended on the media not to reveal what was going on in Obamacare. They didn't want any Republicans in the room so that they could contain the information and the deception. And they depended on the voters, A, to not ask any questions about what it actually did, and B, that they were stupid enough to vote for Democrats anyway. Now, as it turns out, they were wrong. We have now had 4 years of debate about whether or not Obamacare and him, the president, lying about whether or not we could keep our health care plans and whether or not it would lower rates and whether, I think, but didn't he say every American family would get $2,500 out of this?
Yep. Or they'd be lower cost.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, Marty,
anyway,
what's your thought?
all that stuff's wrong, and we've had this debate about it, and it turns out that, well, maybe the American people aren't as stupid as they want to believe, and really they're talking about Democrat voters here. And I think a lot of Democrat voters, particularly young people who know that they're being taken advantage of now by this left-wing establishment, that they're not that stupid, that they're figuring things out.
When he said transparency and the stupidity of the American voter, I think he was talking about the stupidity of the American voter believing the president saying he would be the most transparent president ever. So it wasn't just about they believed our health care plug. They believed us when we said we'd be transparent. It sounds good.
Which they haven't been.
No. I mean, obviously, he just admitted it.
So you said earlier in the show that this does not matter.
I don't think that it makes a great big deal of difference to the voters who voted for him. I think there might be a small percentage who say, hey, wait a minute, that's not very nice, and I can't believe you pulled the wool over my eyes. But for the most part, I think that the Democratic voters, the people who voted for Obama, are comfortable with the government telling them what to do and how to do it and when to do it, and they'll probably just give them a pass.
Now, I don't think anybody's comfortable being called stupid. And
It's a different thing.
We depend on you to be stupid and not really ask any questions, and that we depend on a corrupt media to cover up for our lack of transparency. I mean, really, this guy is laying out essentially the difficult task that the Democrats have. They depend on the media not to call them on anything so that they don't have to be transparent, and then they depend on the voter to hate Republicans more than they love liberty or love the truth. And so those two things, but they're tenuous, especially when they're known.
Well, the media will censor this, but that's the beauty of Facebook. That's the beauty of Twitter. That's the beauty of social network.
If this gets 100 million views, by the way, the Democrats, for a generation, essentially will be out of power.
Now, Bonnie may be right, because one of my leftist followers, not that he follows me, but he does, he immediately said, well, what about the DMVs in Iraq?
Yeah.
He didn't want to even think about this.
Weapons of mass WMDs.
Yeah, WMDs, yeah. Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie, 644. WMDs, yeah. Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie, 644.
Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
Parking space 105A. To many, it's just 130 square feet of publicly allotted tarmac, unless you own a 2014 Mercedes-Benz CLA. With its muscular, seductive look and distinctive diamond block grille, that parking space is transformed into a stage that showcases to others what groundbreaking style can be. And as you pull away, thanks to the turbocharged inline-4 engine, parking space 105A transforms again, this time into a launching pad. See the world differently. See it in a CLA from Mercedes-Benz, whose vehicles retain their value better than any other premium brand, according to ALG. Get the 2014 CLA 254 Matic starting at just $31,900.
MSRP for a 2014 CLA 254 Matic excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options while availability and actual dealer price may vary. Some equipment described as optional. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Philanthropy. It does such big things in our community and state. Help honor outstanding Alaskans for their philanthropy at the National Philanthropy Day in Alaska Luncheon on Friday, November 21st at the Denina Center. Visit afpalaska.net. Philanthropy. Big word, big state, big impact. Presented by the Association of Fundraising Professionals, Alaska Chapter, and this station.
You know, there are many people in Anchorage who have their own special place for gifts for occasions like Mother's Day or birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Into Bell's Nursery and Gifts they go. And there's always something perfect. Bell's Gift Shop on Specking Road has a truly incredible selection of unique creative gift ideas. Crystal, glass, and china and flatware, a wonderful kitchen section, candles, lotions and potions, and of course delicious Seas candies, and lots more. Great for browsing, finding special gift. The Gift Shop at Bell's Nursery on Specking Road.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080K. Fagan, Biegel. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley.
KVNT.
All right, 647. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. We're also streaming on danfagan.us, both video and audio. You can watch the show on your internet browser or just listen to it on your cell phone or your computer or whatever it is you listen to the internet on. On this Veterans Day, November 11th, a little bit later in the show, Keith Montauk and Buddy Witt, both with the Armed Services YMCA, they'll be here and helping us honor our veterans today. I was just kind of looking through some videos this morning, looking at something we could play maybe that would play tribute to our veterans. And you guys are both too young. You probably don't remember this, but I mean, I know you know who Bob Hope is, but Bob Hope was such a big part of my generation, especially with my parents' generation, more than my generation. His Christmas specials, and anytime we were at war, Vietnam, Korea, I guess even World War II. No, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he was involved in that or not, but probably not. He'd be a little too young. But he always was very instrumental in entertaining the troops. And I was looking at some old Bob Hope clips. He's such a great American.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great guy. And he was so funny over there, and he just some great sound clips. And I had thought about playing some, but I didn't really find any that I thought would be appropriate for this morning. But I wish we saw more of that. I know the guy who played in Run Forrest Run. What's
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan, very patriotic guy. I'll tell you who else was a guy who did a lot to entertain our troops was Robin Williams.
Yes.
I saw a couple of clips with him. He's so funny, And he was over there. I think it was during the Kuwait Iraq invasion involving Kuwait. So we've got a lot of people here. A lot of times the people denounce the left for being anti-military, and there was a time, especially in the late '60s, when that's what the left was about. They did hate our military, and I think there's still a remnant of leftists who do believe that. I've had a couple of leftists on my shows through the years who had real disdain for the military, but I think the American people are so repulsed by the idea of looking at our military as anything but heroic that the left has kind of decided to kind of squash that and not.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Patriotism has almost become a religion. I think that you just don't mess with.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's especially the military, and like Bill Maher. Oh my goodness, what a guy! When right after 9/11, he said, these guys who blew up themselves in these airplanes, they're the real courageous ones, not our men who fly in jets 50,000 feet above and drop bombs. That's what he actually said.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just that's sick, twisted leftist.
That makes me feel icky.
It is. It's just really, it's a sick, twisted thing.
Well,
I had a guy.
Do you think he believes in evil at all, or evil forces in the world?
Blame America first.
That there are actually people who should be blown up and removed from the earth so that they can't continue killing. And
it's like Ron Paul. It's our fault. They hate us because of us. And it's not because of us. It's because we stand with Israel. It's because we don't bow down to Allah. That's why they hate us.
Yeah. You think we're in a worldwide struggle with them? And
sure.
And how will it play out? I've always wondered.
I think Ron Paul's point, though, is that they hate us, and so there's nothing we can do to change it. We can't force change. I think that's his point more than anything.
Well, he refers to our bases in the region, and he thinks we should withdraw them. And it's a kind of there's no hope. Why fight it? But I think it's our responsibility to stand up to evil. It's always been our calling and destiny as a nation.
Well, I don't you think that he agrees with that
No.
that it's our responsibility, but he has a difference of opinion in where those bases should be, that we should more fortify our home front than over
I
in
have
other
always
places.
wondered what exactly he does believe, because I get out of what he says that he just thinks that our military presence across the world through time, because we have to partner up with people who are impure, they're not perfect, that over time it's just gotten worse and we become a worse and worse force in the world, and that there, essentially.
By the way,
there's
goodest is a word.
no way. Goodest.
I looked it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, you have.
I knew it when you said it because you're very intelligent.
There has to
but
be
I had to
some
check.
measure of being good and then being
It's not the
more
best.
more than good. No, it's not the best.
That's
It's more good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were talking to Glenn. You used the word goodish yesterday, and Bonnie and I tilted our head on that a little bit. I knew. I have great confidence in Glenn's.
What? Good, better,
vocabulary.
best.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know exactly. What I hear is isolationism, withdraw, don't meddle.
Yeah.
And I think the other extreme is nation building.
I do think
Yeah,
though
there
that,
are extremes. You're right.
Yeah, I do think though that whenever I've confronted people who believe in isolationism, they really run out of answers very, very swiftly. I say, well, should we have opposed the Soviet Union? In their march across Eastern Europe, what about in Central America? What about in South America? What about Cuba? What about in Africa? What exactly should we have done in all of these places? What is it that you think would have turned out better for us? They literally don't have any clue about how to answer those questions because, look, we won the Cold War, right? Well, they didn't want to fight the Cold War. We wouldn't have fought the Cold War if we didn't have this idea that, we are going to fight, we are going to oppose this evil force of the Soviet Union and communism across the entire globe with every ounce of our every fiber of our being, every bit of money that we have. We're going to support people who help us oppose the Soviet Union, and that's what our job is right now. And that's going to make life a little, it's not going to seem all that clean and neat, but we're still called to do that. So that's the way we're going to run this war. And when they're confronted with the idea, and I literally don't know what Ron Paul would have said. Well, I take it that he would say, look, you can say that our opposition to the Soviet Union has turned out all for the best, and he may disagree. And that is what I would really like to hear, because I don't understand that. The idea that we would have let Ecuador and there are 3 or 4 countries where the Soviets were actually literally organizing coups in order to take over the government. We would have lost 4 or 5 different countries in Central America.
Central America would be Soviet colony.
They would be a Soviet colony today.
They didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so basically, we outspent the Soviet Union because they were trying to send armaments and all these other things.
They
all
ran
across
out of
the
other
world.
people's money.
They ran out of other people's money, and they ran out of places to take over.
Yeah.
Right?
Capitalism triumphed.
Well, what gets me though and worries me is that when you have a welfare state and you're trying to defend your country, we're almost $18 trillion in debt. We cannot literally afford to do both. So it's pick or choose. Do we want to defend our country and go into other countries and defend it that way, or do we want to completely take care of everybody on everybody else's, the working few's dime? So it's getting to that point where we can't keep borrowing money to pay for wars and finance people who aren't willing to work. Do you see what I mean?
I'm not sure whether Dan puts those two things together, but I mean, if you take each of them, look, liberalism here and neoconism there are they're 2 different problems. We shouldn't be supporting people in their idleness. We were warned against that. That's not what we're called to do. You do not want people who should otherwise work to be idle. It's bad for them. It's not good for them. It's not good for your society.
It's not what we're created to be.
We can't afford it.
Well, no.
We can't afford both. We can't afford to feed and take care of everybody, and we can't afford to do all these
More important to me
wars.
is the dignity of the human person is denied when they are not forced to work,
sure,
because that's what they should do. Right? That's the most important thing to me, that if you take a government check for long enough, you're just not. There's no dignity in that, and you've been stripped of that dignity.
This is a very major policy rift I'm seeing here.
Yeah,
and it's clear. It's a very, very clear line here. Scarcity mentality. We don't have enough. Abundance mentality. We have enough. If we let our economy fly, our wealth would multiply 100-fold within a week. If we cut the capital gains tax, if we got all the regulations out of the way, we would become so much more wealthy that we could do anything we want. Your point is the disaster of the welfare state is not that we can't afford it. It's that it kills the human spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. The debt, yes, it's out of control.
We end up not being able to afford it, but to me, far more important is we're losing actual real human beings who don't understand how valuable they are.
It's the killing of the human spirit. It's telling each individual you are not equipped to handle life. You must depend on John Kerry.
That's separate. This is an error we make locally, but there's another error we could be making nationally too, internationally.
6:58. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. 6:58. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
Oh, yeah, it's game day. I love football. He could go all the way. He's at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Man, that's why I love football. There's nothing better. Well, except maybe free buffalo wings from Sicily's. Call 333-8000 right now and ask for free buffalo wings. Buy any extra large 2-topping pizza at regular price and get 10 free buffalo wings. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Enjoy hot, fresh pizza and Italian food. Call 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
KOAN Anchorage. It's not just talk, it's hot talk. 95.1 FM, 1080 AM.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. He got the dreaded disease from Ebola patients he treated in Africa.
Today I am healthy and no longer infectious.
Dr. Craig Spencer now fully recovered in New York City. Fox News Radio's Jessica Gallagher has the update live.
Dave, Dr. Craig Spencer was the only Ebola patient being treated in the U.S. Now he's going home from Bellevue Hospital after being declared free of the deadly virus. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio lauded Spencer's courage for treating Ebola patients worldwide and conquering the disease himself.
When he was himself afflicted, he showed us an example of strength, courage, dignity, humor.
Spencer tested positive for the virus on October 23rd, shortly after returning from Guinea, where he was working with Doctors Without Borders. Dave.
Jessica, they're shoveling and shivering like it's January in the northern U.S.
Might be a long winter.
Fox News Radio's Jeff Manasso live in our Midwest Bureau.
Dave, it's a winter wonderland or the nightmare, depending on how you see it, in parts of northern Wisconsin and the UP in northern Michigan, where up to 2 feet of white stuff could fall by tomorrow, making road travel
extremely icy and stop and go, and people are, every time it stops, they slide out, and more people get stuck.
Travel advisories also in place in the upper Midwest as powerful wind gusts make whiteouts, and it's cold with wind chill warnings from Lake Michigan to Pierce, Idaho, where it feels like 7 below. And there are also freeze warnings even to the south in parts of Oklahoma and Texas, Dave.
Jeff, a 4-year-old boy in Northern California is critical but stable after somehow surviving a 230-foot fall from a seaside cliff yesterday. He was found crying in a wake on a rocky beach.
He's got a scratched up face, broken arm, and a leg. His eyes are swollen from the impact.
Daryl Johnson's son went off a trail in Bodega Bay. Paramedics had to rappel down to rescue the boy. 6 families have been evacuated from their Tampa Bay area homes after a car fell into a hole that developed into a driveway. Might be a sinkhole. The evacuations are a precaution. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Attention homeowners, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I have some important information for you regarding the U.S. government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. We've told you about HARP in the past, and more than 3 million homeowners have already taken advantage of this money-saving program. But there are so many more of you who could be saving hundreds of dollars every month on your mortgage. And Quicken Loans is here to help you save your money. The home loan experts at Quicken Loans fully understand the HARP guidelines. If you weren't HARP eligible in the past, new guidelines could mean that now you are. Give us a call and we'll give you a Quicken Loans mortgage review. It's simple and easy. And for 4 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN. Or go to QuickenLoans.com for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance costs. For cost information, equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLS number 3030.
Attention Anchorage! Do you believe in the power of free live music? If so, we need your help. Anchorage has been selected as a semifinalist in the Levette AMP Music Grant Award Contest. This grant program will give top selected cities up to $25,000 to produce an outdoor free concert series in 2015. But we won't win without your help and vote. Sign up at amp.levettepavilions.org before November 30th or visit anchoragedowntown.org to follow the link to vote and help us win. The concert series will be produced by Anchorage Downtown Partnership with the help of the Alaska State Council on the Arts. It will feature local talent and help bring up fans from the lower 48 and beyond. Please help spread the word and rally your family, friends, colleagues, and neighbors to sign up and vote for Anchorage. Remember, we're competing against other cities in the lower 48, so every vote counts. The program ends November 30th. Brought to you by Anchorage Downtown Partnership and Alaska Integrated Media.
There's a lot of so-called experts out there claiming to have the key to success in business for a price. Are you ready for real business advice you can trust without a fee? Then don't miss Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Advice from people in the know. Technology, finance, taxes, and more. Business people helping business people take their skills and services to the next level. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
Why is A&A the shop, Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A the shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A the shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River.
Here's my good friend, Keith Montronock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call, 569-1080. KOAN. On the Talk of the Valley, KVNT 92.5 FM.
All right, welcome back. 7 minutes past, or 6 minutes past 7. 6 minutes past 7. 7 minutes past 6 if you're dyslexic. Fagan
6.5 minutes past.
It's the Fagan Biegel Bonnie Show, airing on KVNT in the Valley, KOAN in Anchorage. Streaming live, video and audio, danfagan.us. Our number, 569-1080, 569-1080. This Uber thing, I just love this. You know, I remember so well, I don't know how many years ago it was a long time ago. I was still working for Channel 2, and I did a story about the taxi cab permits in Anchorage. And it was so appalling to me that you had this limited amount of taxicab permit holders, many of them holding multiple permits, who didn't even live in the state. And you had these poor immigrant taxicab drivers who come here from, a lot of them, the former Soviet Union. And they get in here, they drive their taxicab for 12 hours a day. And every month they had to write a huge, big, fat check to some guy in Arizona or Hawaii or wherever, simply to drive the cab because he owned or she owned the cab permit.
Which just reminds me of indentured servitude.
Well, it really was.
And
the thing, at that time, when I did the story, it had been like 25 years since the city of Anchorage had issued a new taxicab permit. So these things every year kept going up. As the demand for more taxis came, and as the city grew in population, these taxicab permit holders were just getting wealthy. They were selling them for $150,000, $200,000
for a license to run a cab.
That's it.
Wow.
And so it just seemed to me, as a free market guy, even though I was a journalist, I thought that just doesn't seem right. And I did the story, and there was a college professor out at UAA who saw the story, a conservative college professor, and he got a bunch of his students together as a result of that story, and they started this initiative to break up the monopoly of the permit holders. Well, the cab permit holders paid Ivan Moore a gazillion dollars, and they ran this huge campaign, and they defeated the initiative. That's why I hate the initiative process, as does Bonnie. So that's the last thing that we saw on it that was major. Now, as a result of that initiative, the cab permit holders realized, okay, we got a PR problem on here. So they've been like 3 or 4 cab permits issued since the initiative.
Like 3 or 4, literally 3 or 4,
That's
not
it.
3 or 4 times.
No. Yeah. So the problem still exists. Now comes along Uber, which is a free market solution. Glenn, you say that Uber will win. I'm not as confident. Now listen to this. Mid-1910s saw an explosion of people driving unlicensed cabs in New York City. They're called jitneys. Did you ever hear this before?
No.
No.
Jitneys. Slang for a nickel, which is what they typically cost.
You mean $5?
No, a nickel. It was 1910.
Oh, 1910.
Yeah.
I got confused. I thought you said the mid-10s.
Was that when they were carrying around the things, and somebody was running?
I don't know what that means.
The rickshaws or whatever.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there you go.
So the U.S. cities across the country tried to regulate them, of course. Today, cities around the world are struggling to regulate modern-day jitney coordination campaigns. Rideshare apps like Uber are giving people a real run for their money. The rise of the jitney was incredibly sudden. A perfect storm started brewing in 1914 with an economic recession, leaving thousands of men out of work. This was coupled with the emergence of secondhand market that the world hadn't seen before. Used cars, men who couldn't find other work, were now able to purchase a relatively inexpensive secondhand car and start working as a taxi entrepreneur the same day. Southern California was the birthplace of the jitney, and bottom line is it kind of fizzled because the government eventually just shut it down. That's to make a long story short. It was mid-1920s that cities just cut it down. They just regulated it. The taxi cab drivers are too powerful. Now, we've seen the taxi cab lobby headed by Dan Coffey and Ivan Moore here in Anchorage. They've had a stranglehold in this industry. Glenn, you think they may be able to break through this because people will demand it?
I just get the sense, there's a saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And when people get a taste of freedom, that essentially they don't want to give that up. And it's very difficult to, it's a very Pandora's box type of thing. Once the box is open, everything comes out and you can't close it up again. And that's largely, what happens in social structures. When people get a certain taste of a certain kind of freedom, and like they open up McDonald's in Russia, it's not like you could take McDonald's away. If you took McDonald's away in Russia, there would be a big problem. And so I get that same sense. People are so used to using their phone essentially for everything. What's the phone number for XYZ? phone, tell me what the number for XYZ is. Where do I find, a local heating and ventilation phone? And I mean, that's so pervasive now that.
Well, the way the jitneys were killed, it started in Kansas City and then it spread. Kansas City was the first one to kill the jitney, and they did the same thing. You got to have insurance, and then you got to have more expensive insurance. Then you got to have the safety inspections, and yet nobody passed the safety inspections. I mean, government can nickel and dime you to death.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the jitney.
It becomes an income generator for the city.
Exactly.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you can't afford to do it. But Tom McGrath's on the phone. I'm curious to get his take on this. Tom, what's your thought on all this?
Actually, I was going to call in about the last segment, but on the cab industry, I've been saying for years that we have a monopoly here in Anchorage that's allowed by the municipal government. And it's a horrible thing. We have a very bad cab industry. The cars are old, the drivers aren't very courteous.
It's expensive.
It's very expensive. I can go to New York City, which has been reputed to have the worst cab industry in the world, and actually the cabs there compared to Anchorage are really good.
Tom,
they're a lot cheaper.
Tom, I used to live up in Glen Alps. It would be cheaper for me to charter a plane from the Anchorage International Airport and drop me off in Glen Alps to take a cab.
Sure,
it was like $70.
And I kind of like Dan Coffey, but Dan's wrong on this issue. But I don't really know where Dan is on this issue.
Dan Coffey or Sullivan?
Well, no, Dan Coffey.
Well, let me
but Dan is just being hired by them, and he's doing his job. Yeah. I don't know what he really believes.
Well, I noticed that Mike Dingman is going to write about this, and Mike Dingman, columnist for the ADN, he wrote on his Facebook page. I just did my first ride along with several Uber cars, and he kind of criticized Mayor Dan about it, and Mayor Dan posted back on Dingman's Facebook page. Mike, what laws do you want me to not enforce? Because I have to do what the law says.
And that's it. The mayor has to follow the law. The governor has to follow the law.
Yeah.
The president has to follow the law. But at the same time, if I were the mayor, I would say I'm going to follow the law. But in the meantime, I'm going to do everything in my power to change the law.
Yes.
And, like the last 6 months, I've been going to the assembly meetings because it's been so boring. Nothing's going on in city government.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, let's get to work. We have things that we need done.
Well, if I was told back when I did this story for Channel 2 many years ago that if the city were to try to break up this monopoly, that the permit holders would sue the city because of all the value they'd lose with their permits.
And I think they would lose because...
Who's they?
The
permit holders.
The permit holders should lose. Yeah. Why did we give a monopoly to
There's no warranty
in the first place?
for the value of your cab license.
Thanks for the call, Tom.
Okay, have a good day.
7:15, Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
$333-8000 right now and ask for free buffalo wings. Buy any extra large 2-topping pizza at regular price and get 10 free buffalo wings. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Enjoy hot, fresh pizza and Italian food. Call 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
Hello? Hi, it's me, Ross Matthews, America's Gay. Listen, I get it. Life is hard. Okay, we all struggle. Boyfriend problems, girlfriend problems, job problems, life problems. Which TV show to watch? Honey, I get it. You need help. That's why I'm here. I'm the gay best friend you wish you had, and honey, you know you need. It's Straight Talk with me, Ross Matthews. This is tough love, honey, but it's worth it, like plucking or waxing. Get your weekly gay pep talk right here on podcastone.com.
Hey, if you think all you need to know about beer is how to pop the top off the can, go to worldclassbeer.com. There's a whole world of beer out there, and worldclassbeer.com can help you navigate it. Learn the difference between an ale and a lager at Beer U. Get descriptions of all the craft beers and learn why they're so different. And when you see one you'd like to try, the Beer Spy Locator can direct you to the closest store. Worldclassbeer.com, designed to help you get closer to your beer. Brought to you by the Odom Corporation. Always drink responsibly.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
Seven 17 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. We're streaming on danfagan.us, both video and audio, and we, of course, are broadcasting on KOAN and KVNT. Talking about the situation with Uber. I'm looking forward to Mike Digman's column on it. I just don't see any justification for monopolies. You know, I know the government, they're saying, well, safety, we got to protect people. You can't just get into anybody's car. You know what? I'll be okay.
Yeah, but there is, again, the giving up liberty for some security, and then you'll have neither. So let the free market work.
Agreed.
Yeah, they know exactly who you are if you're a driver or a rider.
Look, it sounds like this Uber company has its act together. If they don't, if they let anybody drive and they don't inspect the cars, then they're going to go out of business.
It's an $18 billion company.
Yeah, so they have every incentive.
Something's working.
They have every incentive in the world to make sure that you get a good ride and a good experience. Unlike the government bureaucrat who regulates a taxi cab driver who can't get fired, who's going to retire in 8 years, making $120,000 in pension. I mean, let the free market do its thing.
Yeah, I don't think people are all that happy with cab companies. I think they know that they are uncompetitive, that they could charge you an inordinate amount for a very simple ride.
Well,
that
it's
you shouldn't
regulated.
You shouldn't have to pay that level. Yeah,
It's regulated.
So Brian said this is an $18 billion company. We're in the midst of a dramatic change, technological change. We never used to be able to do this, so this came about because we now have an internet that's so fast, so pervasive, so many people can use it easily, and they have smartphones that can help them do these kinds of things. So Lyft and Uber, these are the statements from them. We are actively, so there are different cities that are trying to figure this out, right? Uber already inspects their vehicles. They already have background checks for people who give rides, and so they already do basically what our cab companies have always claimed that they need to do, and they're already doing that. So this is what they say. We're actively monitoring the situation in Tampa. Tampa sued in order to stop it and providing legal assistance where needed. This is the brilliance, by the way, of a big company when it comes up against some municipality that wants to stay in the 1930s or whatever. While we cannot comment on pending legal matters, we're committed to standing strong with drivers and passengers every step of the way. Ride sharing has become part of daily life for people in Tampa, and we will continue working with these regulators to find a solution that prioritizes public safety and consumer choice. Here's what they know. They can take a hit. They can give free rides for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know that the current regulation and the current situation in almost every case, and I bet it's going to be in every case eventually, will always fail. You just can't regulate people from getting a ride and wanting to pay for it and having simplicity and service.
Well, Channel 2 reports that last month the city filed an injunction, a temporary restraining order, in Superior Court to halt Uber. They said that it plans to add, or the local taxi company, or the dispatch, Alaska Yellow Dispatch, said they plan to add their name to the lawsuit. And one of the reasons they want to shut down Uber is because it doesn't follow the some of the rules governing cabs, like you have to have a camera in your car. I mean, come on. Honest.
That's the great thing about it, is that you don't have to follow the same rules.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your optimism, Glenn. I hope you're right.
And it's really brilliant to use the word ride sharing, because that's what the left loves, about the environment. It helps the environment if, you're going to carpool. And it's really the best of both worlds.
Hey, can we get this guy outside of our window a ride?
I know.
I mean, do they not realize when the lights are on inside of a radio station that they're actually maybe people broadcasting, okay, and he's going above and beyond.
They're going to town right there.
Right outside the window, leaf blowing.
We must have a leaf pile.
So
open the window. Wave at them.
Go away. We're glad you're working, but please go somewhere else.
I think
there he goes.
What's important to focus on, which I think you are, Glenn, is that politicians inevitably have to answer to the people.
Yes.
And if this is an amazing thing,
and the market usually, almost all.
And this is an amazing thing, and you take it away from the people, they're going to be like if you try to take away Craigslist. If the yellow pages, and
that's a perfect example of
try to demand. They say, well, Craigslist isn't played by the journalistic ethics.
It's dangerous. How do you know who's selling stuff on Craigslist? It could be a murderer or something.
And there's always going to be money. It's like when the car came and the automobile, the locomotive got upset, and there's always going to be money fighting new technology because they're losing their share of the market. And so that's the hope. Now, my one concern, and I'll ask Glenn to address this, how do you get around the activist judge who doesn't care about the law, who doesn't care about the Constitution, isn't answerable to the public? How do you get around him saying, no, this is illegal, I'm shutting it down?
Well, let's take a look at where we are. Frankly, Uber is illegal in
But again,
in
we're talking
real
about an
terms.
activist judge, a leftist who literally has zero regard for the rule of law.
Yeah, well,
he just wants to impose his personal will.
Yeah, the end goal is this is not an activist judge who's doing this to us. This is our laws, and we put them in place for a real reason.
But
now,
what if this goes
what
to
would he say? I mean, I don't even know what he would say. Is the municipality, because this is a situation you're describing. Right now, the municipality has these laws. We get rid of the laws that currently govern taxis, and then the judge says, okay, you can't get rid of laws that govern taxis because I say so.
Well, Glenn, seriously.
Yeah.
We've got judges who say that the right to privacy means you can kill your baby.
Yeah.
I mean, we got judges who say, even in the Constitution specifically says, without any ambiguity, marriage is between a man and a woman. And judges say, no, it's not. I mean, we have judges who literally look at the law and thumb their nose at it and say, the hell with that. Here's what I think should happen. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, well, the difficulty for people who believe in the sanctity of life and the sanctity of marriage and the importance as a structure, we're not in the majority, essentially, in all cases. And so we just don't have the political strength to oppose them.
Well, the redefined marriage movement is all happening in the courts.
Yeah, but it's 55-45 now, people who think that marriage should be...
So that allows the courts to...
Well,
they go by public opinion. They figure, well, we'll get away with this.
They are getting away with it, and they are implementing their will. But anyway, I don't want to get all that high and mighty as far as life and marriage goes. I just want to stay with, a much simpler...
This is a personal choice thing.
Yeah, it's a much simpler example here.
thing.
And essentially that if the city said, okay, well, we don't want to have taxi cabs have a monopoly here anymore, we want Uber to come in, you to be able to operate, then the judge would say, well, frankly, I don't think you're right, Assembly, and I'm going to make sure that we do have taxi cabs.
And here's the question.
I don't think that would work out for him.
Here's the big question, as they say in the journalism world. We talk about Pebble. We say, well, we don't want to trade one resource for another. We don't want to get rid of fish just to get mining. Agreed. Will they not employ that argument? Well, you're going to completely destroy the cab industry, which it will. It will destroy the cab industry. Because we don't need dispatchers anymore.
Just like Craigslist destroyed the
newspapers.
The wanted page.
Well, they basically destroyed newspapers because 70 to 80% of newspaper revenue came from classifieds.
Mm-hmm.
So are are we going to win that battle with the cab driver saying you're going to put us out of business? We got no.
Generally, when technology rubs up against the way we've done things, just as we saw with cars, and buggy whips and all kinds of things like that,
Technology wins.
Technology will win because newer generations just simply look at, the danger for politicians, by the way, and there's a real danger here if you don't understand the power of this wave of choice through technology, that if you are not clued in to the fact that you cannot maintain your taxi cab monopoly. You can't. It's over. It's already been decided. If you stand in the way of it, you will be mowed over and you will be removed from office if you stand up hard enough.
Here's the good news. The only people who are really going to lose out are the couple dozen permit holders. Taxi cab drivers are going to love it.
Yeah,
they get to keep a larger percentage of their take.
It's absolutely true.
A lot of the taxi cab drivers are becoming Uber drivers.
Sure. Yeah. Why wouldn't
drive
you?
your own car?
You don't have to send your 40% of your income to some guy in Hawaii. So Ivan Moore and Dan Coffey, who are working for this small handful of really rich people, they're going to lose out. They've got to realize they're going to lose out.
Yeah.
And so why would Coffey, who's running for mayor, join forces with these groups?
Most people do not understand the power of social movements until it's way, way, way too late. They are always thinking, I really think we can guide this to the outcome that we want. This has already been decided. This is done in dozens of different cities. It's way, way, way too far.
For Uber.
This is an $18 billion company.
Right.
Okay, that is almost as much money as the entire state of Alaska generates in 1 year. Let's be real. You can't control this. These social movements are way beyond your control, and that we don't need you. I know that that's hard for people who are legislators to understand. In technology, we no longer need the government to tell us who we can and can't get a ride from. It's just that simple.
Go technology, go, baby.
Yeah, who uses a phone for calling anymore? Really?
Texting and
not I.
Well, it's a worldwide company too, so they're dealing with this all over the
I
globe.
remember Keith Montanak, who's coming up, told me that back when the Yellow Pages were in existence, and how much it would cost him.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Every business had to be in the Yellow Pages.
Yep. Monopoly.
He said now they come around, they beg them. Well, could you give us $10 a week? It's like nobody uses them anymore, right?
Yep.
It's amazing how technology changes our life for the better most times. 569-1080, Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 729. 569-1080, Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 729.
And now, the Fox News Business Report, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
On the Fox Business Network, Alibaba's Singles Day shopping festival is pushing deeper into record territory as the shopping frenzy continues. The e-commerce giant says total sales have topped $9 billion, with more than 40% of that coming from purchases made on mobile devices. However, Alibaba is trading lower today, along with other Chinese e-commerce stocks, which have all scored big gains in anticipation of strong results for this big Chinese shopping day. And home builder D.R. Horton reported better than expected quarterly revenue and said orders jumped nearly 40% from a year ago. However, earnings fell short of expectations. Shares are up more than 1%. And Juniper Networks is down nearly 5% right now. The network gear maker says its CEO, Shagan Karadpir, has resigned following a board review of his conduct in a negotiation with a customer. And the S&P 500 and the Dow Industrials are both trading at record highs, but the gains are small. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jolene Kent.
Going to war was their duty. Telling their story is yours. This Veterans Day, Ancestry would like to help you honor the soldiers in your family with free access to our global military records. Visit tryancestry.com November 6th through Veterans Day. Find valuable clues such as rank, awards, battle details, photographs, and more. Discover what Veterans Day means to your family for a limited time when you visit tryancestry.com. Tryancestry.com. That's TRY Ancestry.com.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Police Monday said a Palmer man was being held on murder charges for fatally shooting a woman. 31-year-old Benjamin Wilson is accused of shooting 28-year-old Letitia Fowler during an incident on Marth Road in Butte late Sunday night. She died of head wounds in an Anchorage hospital a short time later. The suspect and his alleged victim reportedly had been exchanging emotionally charged text messages beforehand. Those who oppose the passage of the marijuana bill are now taking measures to regulate pot. Ann Kenda explains.
Voters have already said yes to the legalization of marijuana in Alaska for any medicinal or recreational purpose the user chooses. But some opponents are calling for regulations, such as banning marijuana stores from within 500 feet of schools, houses of worship, or parks. Other legal challenges also await marijuana dealers who would like to open stores. The overall process could take about a year.
That's your Hot Talk News update.
Rather cloudy today with a little rain, high 43. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a passing shower, low 33. Sun and some clouds tomorrow with a high 41 and a low tomorrow night of 23. Then for Thursday, partial sunshine throughout the day, high 36. Friday, sunshine, high 37. Then Saturday, sunshine and patchy clouds, high 34. Hot Talk breaking news and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Here at the hospital, the focus is patient health. But as the administrator, my focus is patient information, medical histories, lab results, millions of documents printed, scanned, and accessed.
With intelligent EcoSys printers and powerful MFPs, like the 45-page per minute Task Alpha 4551 CI, plus customized apps and services, Kyocera helps you manage the many documents that matter.
At a hospital, every document is important.
Learn more at kyoceradocumentsolutions.com/US.
Royal Business Systems has been a leading provider of high-quality business technology and services since 1990. Royal Business Systems provides HP, Okidata, and Kyocera printers and MFPs, and support recognized throughout the industry as best in class. Come to Royal Business Systems for the total document solution you need to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Don't call 1-800-WHO-CARES. Call Royal Business Systems at 563-4118. That's 563-4118. Or visit us at akcopy.net.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher. No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way. Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast. You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything. From auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream. Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way. All my life, I've enjoyed hunting and fishing, but as I got older, it made it harder to enjoy the Alaskan outdoors. Thanks to Chugach Chiropractic, I'm back on the stream enjoying Alaska.
Besides aligning the spine, we also deal with the musculature and the nervous system of the body. To do that, we not only adjust the spine, but we also balance muscles along with various therapies and deep tissue therapy. We help bring the body back to normal function.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
$7:36 on Veterans Day. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. Take some time today. At least, if you don't run into a veteran, at least take some time and just consider what they've done for us and how different our lives would be if it were not for the sacrifice those currently serving have made and those who have served in the past made. There's a great video out. I wanted to play it, but it makes no sense on the radio. There's a guy who's a Vietnam veteran. He's sitting on the counter. He's got his little Vietnam veteran tattoo on. And a guy walks in uniform. He's probably in his 20s. And the Vietnam vet is sitting on the counter. And the guy in uniform walks up and orders some coffee from the lady. And she says, "Oh, no charge, sir." And he says, "Thank you." And he takes the coffee. And as he's walking to his table, a guy walks up to him, shakes his hand. "Thank you for your service, sir." And the vet goes, "Thank you for your support." And then he sits down on the in his table. There's a mom and a little kid. And the little kid says, "Can I have my picture taken with you?" Now, the Vietnam veteran's watching this. He's in his 40s or 50s. He's an older guy. And, they went through this horrible situation where they were spit on and rejected. And, it's such a dark period. And so he's watching all this. And there's the kid. He's next to the guy in uniform. And he's so excited. And the Vietnam vet, he kind of looks at his tattoo. It's a little corny, but you get the message. So he just goes back to drinking his coffee. And then the wife, or the mother of the child, walks up, and you hear, "Excuse me, sir. My son has a question for you." And so the Vietnam vet, the older guy, looks down at the little boy, and the little boy says, "Sir, are you a hero?" And the older Vietnam vet goes, "Well, why do you ask?" He said, "Because that guy over there said you were."
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's powerful. And then he says, "Can I take my picture with you?" And it just lit up the guy, and the kid asked the Vietnam vet, he said, "Did you serve in the war?" And he said, and the older guy says, "Well, I served as best I could."
Mm-hmm.
That's just really what
humility.
It's all about.
There's a lot of humility from them.
Yeah, absolutely. They know they paid a heavy price. They know, I can't imagine being in combat. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't think we're real equipped for that. I don't think, and some of these guys and gals who come back with this post-traumatic stress disorder. I talked to Dee Dee Johnro's father, who has since passed, Ken Stout. He was actually on the National Commission appointed by President Bush to look into this. And he was telling us on the old show what a big deal it is. How many veterans come back with this post-traumatic stress disorder. And when you're in a situation where you're in real grave danger, I don't know that we're equipped to handle that a lot of times. So
I kind of wonder whether or not all veterans essentially have some version of it.
Well, you'd think so. I've never even been close to a situation where I thought I was going to die, and I was in that position any extended period of time.
Yeah, and you are expected to perform.
Yes.
You could die, and then you have to go.
Yes. It's quite the sacrifice.
I'd be pretty stressed out just from basic training with somebody standing
Yelling
in my
at me.
face, screaming at me, "Yes, drill sergeant!"
I had a personal
I'd
trainer
break down.
once, so I know what that's like.
But the one thing that strikes me about our military and our servicemen and women more than anywhere else is, why are we so different than every other military force that's ever existed? We're able to accomplish things other people can't.
Well, and what's your thought on that?
Well, I think that we fight for a good cause. I think our soldiers know it. I don't know. There has to be something fundamentally different, and I don't know what it is. And every time I come up against somebody on the left, and there are a lot of people on the left, and by the way, many of them have morphed into quote libertarians at this point, who question whether or not we fight for a good cause. But I'm always struck by our desire to do the good. And our military is really built around this principle that we're really trying to defend life as much as we possibly can, even to the point where we will put ourselves in harm's way. Our soldiers will. Many soldiers die because we are putting ourselves in harm's way to try and protect the innocent. And when you get to people on the left, and again, many of them call themselves libertarians these days because that's a more comfortable term for them. Mm-hmm. People don't know exactly where they're coming from because there's various different versions of libertarianism. one of them is leftism. And as you question them, you say, well, so here's a situation. Our soldiers are dying or whatever, and they'll say, well, we're not good. We're not over there doing good. And you start to question them and try and figure out, well, how do you come to that conclusion, and what is it upon that you base that? And when they're confronted with the fact that if we wanted to act like Russia, where we just went into a town and just wiped it out, we could easily do that and not lose a single soldier. We had, I think, 37 casualties as we took over 80% of Iraq. 37, not 3,000 or whatever.
Talking about Iraqis now,
no, and United States military personnel.
Oh, we had 37 U.S. military.
Yeah, and
personnel
and those were from a couple of rockets that they launched and went back into. If we want to project force in a very dangerous way, we're able to protect as much force as we want to, with no casualties whatsoever. We die because we do it a different way.
It's
right?
very true. It's very true. Yeah, it's we're a force for good, Glenn. We're not perfect. We're not perfect, but I really believe this country, when you look at it from inception with its blemishes, overall we're a good, God-fearing, moral people.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't tolerate what a lot of other countries tolerate. And I think that goes back to our heritage, our Judeo-Christian values.
Sure. And our military is the most dramatic example of that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, that because they're able to project deadly force much more easily than any of the rest of us and are called to stand in harm's way, they are the most clear example.
Here's another example. And this is a book I read, 10 years ago. So powerful. There's a earthquake in Indonesia, there's a tsunami, there's whatever. There's an earthquake in Iran, same size earthquake happens in California. In Iran, 20,000 people die. In California, 200 die. Why is that? We value life. We build our buildings different.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about us is different. And we have standards. Life is so precious to us here in this culture, with the exception of the travesty that is abortion. We have a different culture, but that culture is what we should focus on, and we must maintain. And we need to fight to continue. And we can't let the left, which I think abhors American culture, try to erode our culture by redefining marriage, by promoting the death culture, abortion on demand. That's the battle. This country's worth saving. This country is so special and so precious, and is such a great record of
goodness is worth fighting for.
It absolutely is. Fagan Biegel Bonnie, 744.
Goodness is worth fighting for.
It absolutely is. Fagan Biegel Bonnie, 744.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call, 569-1080, KOAN.
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today. And if you live in Anchorage, delivery is free. Wait, what did I just say? Delivery is free if you live in Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best Split Firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
With the most luxurious interior in its class and an innovative touchpad, the all-new 2015 C-Class is as exciting to experience standing still as it is in motion. And with its improved acceleration power, your state of comfort continues, knowing you'll make it to your destination on time. See your authorized dealer and see the world differently in a C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Get the 2015 C300 4MATIC starting at just $40,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for a 2015 C300 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
If you're ready for the movies, there's just one place to go. Check out movies.com. It's showtime. Movie times free.
weekdays.com. This message is sponsored by the Air Force Reserve and aired by the Alaska Broadcasters Association and this local station.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel.
Raising Professionals, Alaska Chapter, and this station.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the...
All right, 747, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT, also streaming live, danfagan.us, both video and audio. You can watch the show on the internet. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080.
I love these guys here at Roofing. Experienced professionals to install a new roof for you regardless of how extensive or intricate the design. You look around Alaska, there are a lot of different circumstances and situations people's houses are in, and frankly, some of our roofs are in good shape and some of them aren't. If you're looking for a free re-roofing estimate, I hope you include these guys in your bidding process. Just have them come out. It's free. 345-5555, the greatest roofing company in Alaska, and frankly, we do have a lot of good ones. There are a few good ones, but the best one, Better Business Bureau Business of the Year, really talented people there. And Frank, James, and Becky, they run a tight shop. And give them a call today, 345-5555. And when you think roofing, think Earhart, E-A-R-H-A-R-T.
Well, bless their hearts.
Uh-oh. Get ready, people.
What happened?
The Alaska School Activities Association, bless their hearts.
Yes. Bless our pocketbooks.
They have decided that their tradition of praying during a wrestling match is not a good idea. The wrestling matches have typically been held at the Anchorage Baptist Temple School, but the Alaska School Activities Association has announced that there will be no prayer at this year's wrestling match because one of the attendees complained at the 2013 event, and they called in the watchdog group that make sure people don't pray anywhere near schools. So the Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
One person.
Separation of Christianity and state.
That's right.
Because if there was a call to Allah and a mat involved, they'd probably be fine with it. Go ahead.
So now the ABT has decided they're not going to participate or not host the event nor participate in it. I admire ABT for that. Thoughts?
When I used to wrestle, I would pray before every match that I would win.
Right. Yeah, and it's a prayer of protection. It's not like they're praying for, an evangelistic prayer.
God kill all the Muslims for being inappropriate.
It's a prayer of protection. And they weren't making any profit off of it. It's not like they were charging the people. Right. It's not like the ABT was charging people to participate in the event. They were offering their building for a service, basically.
Well, their students participate too.
Right.
Well, I can understand that Christian prayers are offensive to a lot of people who are running our schools.
A lot?
Yeah. Look, most of the people who run the teachers union, they're fairly godless people, and they don't like Christian prayers, and they don't want it in their facilities, and they run the place, and they have a monopoly, and that's kind of the way they run their show. So I don't like it.
I had lunch with, I don't remember his name. He's an amazing guy. He was a rabbi, and he was Les Guerra's rabbi.
Oh.
Les Guerra's the Jewish faith. And he was praising Les, how committed he is to what he believes. And the rabbi told me, he said, yeah, if Les is in any kind of meeting anywhere, and anybody mentions prayer or talks about prayer or in any way brings up God, he will immediately leave out of principle because he just believes so strongly that there should be no interaction of any kind of faith in this kind of activity. Now, there's another example. When I was covering the legislature, I was sitting in just shooting the breeze with Ethan Berkowitz. And we're talking, and the bell rings, which means the session is about to start, but you don't have to be there right away. But he immediately jumped up and said, I want to get in there. I said, why? He says, well, they've got a Buddhist who's going to lead prayer today. I really want to hear this.
What?
So he scoots down the hall like it's, going to miss the Super Bowl. And my experience with the left, and Bonnie, you said it earlier, it's not a God thing. It's a Christian God thing.
Mm-hmm.
Allah, come on in. Buddha, have a seat.
Mm-hmm.
Hindu, preach. But you talk about the God of Christianity?
Well, I think that, by the way, that is because they live all political lives. In essence, and Buddha and Allah and all these things, they don't threaten the left politically. But Christ and the Christian and Judeo-Christian beliefs, where it isn't the government that's responsible for the poor person. It isn't the government that's supposed to feed people. It's you. Well, that is a threat politically to them. So they don't mind dealing with people who are not political threats to them, but they do mind dealing with Christians. Look, they have a monopoly on schools. The only way that they can run schools this way, where they say, you know what, there's one person who objects, we're going to ask them to leave the room or whatever, or you don't have to participate in this prayer as we currently do, one nation under God. We make exceptions for people, but this is not an exception. This is telling people your faith and your ideas that God pervades us and that we're more than just a physical being, those are not welcome here. Wow. And because we have a monopoly and we run the schools the way we want to, and we run the Alaska Scholastic Association the way we want to, and we're offended by this idea that our faith should guide us and that our faith instructs us to do the right thing, even when it's not within our financial interest, right? It would be within our financial interest to take as much as we could from the government, not to give as much as we could to poor people. So even though we have this difference of opinion, you lose and we win, and you're not welcome here. So they're telling all Christians, well, you're not welcome here, because we're uncomfortable by you. And I understand it.
I want to expound on that, and that's a great point. What the left represents and promotes and pushes, Christianity presents the greatest threat. There was a poll several years back. Harvard students who were attending Harvard University, who's the list the most dangerous people on the planet. You know who came in number one?
Oh, I don't know.
George Bush.
Oh,
he was president at the time. And here's the thing about that, Glenn. What does the left want? They want an equality at all costs. Well, what does that mean? That means you can't have a free market. What do they want? They want abortion on demand. They want to redefine marriage. Does Al-Qaeda present a greater threat to that? No. George Bush presents a greater threat to the left's agenda than Al-Qaeda does.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to kill us. But they can't give. They're over there. The left doesn't worry about them. Sure. George Bush is here in this country, and he presents a clear and present danger to their agenda of redefining marriage, abortion on demand, doing away with the free market.
Yeah, they're not confused. They accurately describe the danger to them. Now, the problem is they have control over our school system, where they are miseducating people about the evil ideas of corporations. And that people engaging in a free market and people working for themselves, that's not the greatest system that's ever been designed, that's not the fairest, the most wonderful, the most uplifting, the most rewarding, and frankly, in the end, the best system that we've ever found. They have different ideas, and because they have monopoly over your kids and they have their attention for 6 hours a day and you only talk to them for 10 minutes a day, then they are going to win. I will tell you how this story ends. Unless you combat what it is that the schools have to say about the evil ideas of corporations and the complete and ridiculous unfairness of a free market system where people invest themselves and take risks themselves and get rewards themselves in a free market, you will lose.
Glenn Legal Beagle and Bonnie Cameron, I'm going to give you a question. You have 2 minutes to answer.
Oh. Maybe 42.
The education monopoly and bureaucracy in this country is producing robots, producing people to think completely opposite of what is true. How do we fix that? Go. Actually, you have 30 seconds. No, he's just kidding.
Well, what I hope is that parents realize that teachers union, particularly the National Teachers Union, doesn't have your value system in mind.
And how do we fix it? We know the problem.
School choice.
The first thing is for parents to realize that, because I don't think most parents do. My parents sent me to a public education system, but it was really good. And frankly, I went to a good school. Service was a top 100 school. Many parents send their kids to top 100 schools here in this town.
It's not.
Many parents don't.
But they're all educating you away from the free market.
Now, at this point, it was very rare for me to know what the political bent of somebody who was educating me was. I only knew one person out of my entire school career what her political views were, and she was a far left winger.
So, Bonnie, you say school choice.
I would say do a 5-year trial period. That's what I would, if I was a lawmaker, I would say let's do a 5-year trial period on school choice and let the schools fail or succeed, and if it doesn't work, then we'll get rid of it.
My solution, elect fewer Democrats. Because that's the only way we're going to get school choice. The Democrats are so beholden to the teachers' union.
Well, everybody's beholden to them, though. It's not just the Democrats, it's the Republicans, too.
I would say the majority of Republicans favor school choice.
Because when we had a chance for school choice this last year, I saw quite a few Republicans up there waffling
But they're
on
not the majority.
No. But they are definitely influenced by it.
569-1080. 569-1080. See, I remain calm. 758. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. We'll be back. Biegel and Bonnie. We'll be back.
Have you ever wondered
been treating Ebola patients with Doctors Without Borders. Some New Yorkers were on edge after learning Spencer had traveled on the subway, visited a local attraction, and eaten at a restaurant before testing positive. Lisa?
Thanks, Jessica. Dr. Spencer was the last of the Ebola patients hospitalized in the U.S. Snow piling up in northern Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Behind that storm, temperatures as much as 40 degrees below normal will spread east and as far south as Texas. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Attention homeowners. I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I have some important information for you regarding the U.S. government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. We've told you about HARP in the past, and more than 3 million homeowners have already taken advantage of this money-saving program. But there are so many more of you who could be saving hundreds of dollars every month on your mortgage. And Quicken Loans is here to help you save your money. The home loan experts at Quicken Loans fully understand the HARP guidelines. If you weren't HARP eligible in the past, new guidelines could mean that now you are. Give us a call and we'll give you a Quicken Loans mortgage review. It's simple and easy. And for 4 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN. Or go to QuickenLoans.com for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance costs for cost information. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states. NMLS number 3330.
Attention Anchorage! Do you believe in the power of free live music? If so, we need your help. Anchorage has been selected as a semifinalist in the Levette AMP Music Grant Award Contest. This grant program will give top selected cities up to $25,000 to produce an outdoor free concert series in 2015. But we won't win without your help and vote. Sign up at amp.levettepavilions.org before November 30th or visit anchoragedowntown.org to follow the link to vote and help us win. The concert series will be produced by Anchorage Downtown Partnership with the help of the Alaska State Council on the Arts. It will feature local talent and help bring up fans from the lower 48 and beyond. Please help spread the word and rally your family, friends, colleagues, and neighbors to sign up and vote for Anchorage. Remember, we're competing against other cities in the lower 48, so every vote counts. The program ends November 30th. Brought to you by Anchorage Downtown Partnership and Alaska Integrated Media.
Philanthropy. It does such big things in our community and state. Help honor outstanding Alaskans for their philanthropy at the National Philanthropy Day in Alaska Luncheon on Friday, November 21st at the Denina Center. Visit afpalaska.net. Philanthropy. Big word, big state, big impact. Presented by the Association of Fundraising Professionals, Alaska Chapter, and this station.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
Do you remember that Beatles song? If the rain comes, they'll run and hide their heads. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, if that's you and you're inside your home or office, it's time to call Earhart Roofing. Call Earhart Roofing for all your roofing needs. Flat or pitched, large or small, Earhart Roofing will do the job quickly, and they'll do it right. Earhart Roofing, big enough to serve you and still small enough to care. Call 345-5555. That's 345-5555.
Here's my good friend, Keith Montronock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
Hot Talk KOAN, man.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
6 minutes past 8 o'clock, KOAN in Anchorage, KVNT out in the valley. We're also streaming video and audio on danfagan.us, our number 569-1080. On this November 11th, Veterans Day 2014, Glen Biegel, Dan Fagan, Bonnie Cameron. We have in the studio with us our old friend, Keith Montronock.
I'm not that old. Wow.
I think you're the first guy that ever advertised on my show back back in the late 60s on KFQD.
That was a leap of faith.
Yeah, it was. And Buddy Witt, who is the president, executive director of the Armed Services YMCA. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
I think Buddy's mic needs to be potted up there, Brian. Well, this is a day, it's you would hope that we don't need a day to remember why we're free, and it's because of veterans. But I think it's good that we select a day and set it aside. But I guess what I'm saying is you'd hope that every day we think about the life that we live and the reason we're able to live it and the freedoms we enjoy is because of veterans. I hope we keep that in our thoughts every day.
I think some people need a reminder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everybody needs a reminder. I mean, honestly, you can't overemphasize.
It's just such a big deal.
I think it's huge.
You're a guy, Keith, who, I know you work as hard as anybody I've ever met, but you also, outside of your job, running specialty truck and auto, I've never seen anybody dedicate more time outside of their job to veterans issues and to helping veterans. What drives you? What makes you so dedicated to that cause?
I guess I don't know for sure. Before I moved to Alaska, I was never around a lot of military. My dad was Army. Has never talked a whole lot about it, so I don't know a lot about his experience in the military. But when I moved to Alaska, there was just, you're surrounded by them. They're a third of the population is either active duty or their family of it. So everywhere you go, you're around them, and I think if you're going to pick a group of people to help out, I think they're just an obvious choice. I think they're very dedicated to what they're doing or what they had done, and they're a group of people that want to help out the people that are doing what they used to do. I just think they're a very noble person.
And Buddy Witt is executive director of the Armed Services YMCA. You must get a lot of satisfaction.
I do.
Doing what you do. It's a great organization.
Well, I certainly think so. I think being a veteran of the United States Marine Corps myself, and I have family members going all the way back to the Revolutionary War.
Is that right?
Back. So, but more importantly, I think military members are they're very proud folks, and they sign a contract, they take an oath, and they're about service. And I think sometimes we forget that word service, and we don't realize what it means. They're not there wearing a uniform in order to be served. They're wearing a uniform in order to serve others. In my capacity as executive director in our organization, we're there to try to serve them. And just that interaction, trying to serve people who have dedicated their lives in service, is quite humbling, because you see folks come into our food pantry and we're asking them to take more food because they're not used to being ones who take. They're usually ones who give, and that's kind of the mentality of our military. Whatever happens in the political scene outside, and whoever's in charge, whoever's running it, never lose sight of the fact that we have a whole bunch of young men and women who have dedicated their lives to service to every one of us, so that we can enjoy the freedoms and liberties that we enjoy. And it's incredibly humbling, it's incredibly fulfilling, and I think I can speak not only for myself and my staff, but for Keith and the rest of our board, that one of the most satisfying things that we do is serve these folks and see the level of not only professionalism but humility and service that they give to us every day.
Well, I remember the first time that I learned that there was a food pantry for our military personnel, thanks to the Armed Services YMCA. I was heartbroken, and then it just infuriated me. How is it that we have military personnel that can't feed their family? But that is the case.
It is. It's and it's we run the only food pantries on military installations in the state of Alaska. Earlier this year, we took over from the chaplains group, and I go back to humility. The the way it was being run before, folks didn't want to come in and give the information about who they were and what, because they were it's an embarrassing thing, and especially for a very, very proud group of people that we have. And now we're starting to see an uptick actually in the usage, because the cost of living allowance in Alaska has been cut for every single one of our military members
by the federal government.
By the federal government, by an average of about $150 a month, is my understanding.
That's unbelievable.
And
wow.
And
that
so
was legislation, or was that from the Pentagon?
Do
you know, Keith?
The word that I received was that it was from DOD, but how all that happened, Department of Defense, but how that all happened, I don't know. But my point is, they continue to need our assistance for whatever reason, and however it happened, I can't say. But it's continuing to go up, and it is a shame. But the thing I think we need to take away is that the community, through the Armed Services Y, is there to help pick up and help out when needed, when those things happen that are completely beyond our control.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, it's a great work that you guys do.
What would surprise people the most about being on base? Because a lot of us, we've lived here our whole lives. I've gone on base maybe, I don't know, 24 times. I guess people go on base a lot of times just to see the air show and things like that. But day to day, give me like 3 things, because I know one of them you'll find out in your car if you get stopped by a military policeman and you're on your phone. That'd be a big shock to people.
Right. Obey the speed limit.
Okay, they'll get you if you don't.
Use your turn indicator. Don't talk on your phone.
Really, the turn indicator?
Yeah, turn the signal.
Now, why is that? Why do they get to that level of? Because I scream at people because they never use their turn.
Just because it's the law.
Okay.
There are. Listen, hey,
I want you to follow the rules.
Yeah, in the military there are rules, and you will follow them.
Yeah.
I think one of the things would surprise folks is that on J-Bear, up in Fort Wainwright, up in Allison, you're going to find they're people just like us, and they live in houses, and they interact in their communities, and they try to make their community there in J-Bear a better place. But I think what also would surprise you is how segregated that community is from the rest of the Anchorage
rest of the community, yeah.
Because of the security requirements and things like that.
What percentage of military personnel live on base?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly, but
it's a large percentage.
It is pretty good percentage, especially of the junior enlisted military folks. I would say the vast majority of our single soldiers, single airmen, live on base. Families, I'd say probably a 50-50 split. So overall, you're probably looking around 60-40, 65-35 on-base to off-base percentages.
So we're talking to Buddy Witt, who is Executive Director of Armed Services of YMCA, Keith Montauk, who heavily involved in veterans issues, on especially truck and auto.
Well, actually, we'll
take a quick break. Let's
take
a quick break. Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie, 8:15 in the morning. Stay with us.
That's why I love football. There's nothing better. Well, except maybe free buffalo wings from Sicily's. Call 333-8000 right now and ask for free buffalo wings. Buy any extra large 2-topping pizza at regular price and get 10 free buffalo wings. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Enjoy hot, fresh pizza and Italian food. Call 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
Hi, my name is Mike Ferris, President of Alaska Enterprise Solutions. We are the face of Xerox in Alaska. Xerox is a trendsetter, and AES Xerox is following in those footsteps. We are the document management experts, specializing in short-term rentals of copiers and scanners. We have offices in Anchorage and Fairbanks, and we are your Xerox professional agency with an Alaska focus and worldwide support. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
Being a business owner isn't easy. There's managing people, customers, income, expenses, unexpected issues, growing your brand, and so much more. Ready to be more efficient in everything you do? Then listen to Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Each week, David gives you the inside scoop on the latest business news and trends, along with tools for keeping your business on track. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080 KOAN. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
$8:17 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, here with Buddy Witt, Executive Director of the Armed Services YMCA, and Keith Montanok, someone who is very involved in helping our veterans. He along with his friend Bob Kendopoulos, put on and actually started the Armed Services combat fishing tournament, which is this year on May 20th, and then you'll have how many gals you take down there?
Well, it all depends on how many boat seats we get, but upwards of 300, for sure 200.
You take them, you put them on a bus, take them down there. They fish all day. Doesn't cost them a dime. Then you have a big banquet that night. Everybody gets a prize. Lots of tears, lots of emotion.
Oh, it's an incredible event. If nobody's ever been there to see it, I would encourage them to try to come down sometime.
Have any other states duplicated your model?
Well, I mean, I think there's other similar things out there. I don't know what anybody else has got going on for sure. There's a couple other organizations, and even in Alaska that do things. There's a group out in King Salmon takes disabled veterans.
Not on the scale you do, though. Huh?
Not offshore, no.
Yeah, and of course you work in conjunction with the Armed Services YMCA now to put that on.
Correct.
Which is a big help.
They've been with us from the beginning. That was
right. Okay.
Bob and I tried to do it the year before, but we couldn't figure out how to get past that big gate.
Now you got something coming up this weekend at the Aces game, right?
Well, this is Aces Military Appreciation Weekend.
Which is what? Is it all weekend?
It is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Three different games.
I think some people are confused how that all goes down. The Aces are in no position to give free tickets away. They're a small business just like I am or anybody else. I mean, it's just that's their lifeblood. Is selling tickets.
Right.
So for the last several years, I've gone out trying to raise money, trying to get season ticket holders to give up their tickets. I'm not looking for a season holder ticket to give up their tickets if they're going to use them.
Yes.
But if anybody ever went inside the Aces office and seen this board on the wall that shows where the bought season tickets are, it covers about a third of that board. And
do we need to evacuate? It sounds like there's a bomb in the building.
And then, but I'll bet less than half those seats are ever filled. So there's thousands of season tickets sitting out there in someone's desk drawer.
Wow.
If they would just put those in my hands,
yes, I'll
put a junior enlisted person in there.
Yes.
If they want, I can give them a charitable contribution letter.
Sure.
For getting those to me if it's about the money. I just think it's a shame that those seats are going unfilled.
Yes.
When I got all kinds of junior enlisted out on the base that could never afford to go on their own, but would love the opportunity to be able to go if they had a ticket.
Have you ever thought about emailing? Because I'm sure that the Aces have a database. Emailing them and say, hey, if you're not using your tickets this weekend.
This gets into the pushy part of charity. And
did I ask an inappropriate question?
No.
Sensing tension in the room.
No, it's I would think there's. I'm sure they're trying to help me as much as they can.
The Aces?
Yep. Yeah, I would assume that there's a database out there where they can get a hold of all those season
ticket holders. Shoot a little email out on a Wednesday. Say, hey, if you're not going to the game this weekend, we'd love to give you tickets.
Yeah, we are working with them to see if they can help us out more than we've done in the past. And I don't know if it's just me not promoting it early enough or pushing it hard enough.
They could do it tomorrow.
Yep.
Probably get a lot of tickets.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we get lots of tickets. But anything people can do to help out. I mean, we can buy tickets with some money. They'll make me a good deal on tickets.
Yes.
If people got season tickets they want to give up, if people want to call the Aces office and buy tickets, they'll hold them there for me.
Sure.
You know what would be helpful, I think, is if you would write something up and put it on Fagan's site, and then we could copy that in and send it out, to all of our individual companies. Because I bet you look at 30, 40, 50 companies, and if you sent the email out, you probably cover half the people in Anchorage.
What so people who have these tickets, they don't have to physically come to you. They can just.
I'll come to them.
You can pick them up, or what about? Can they just leave them at will call? Can they just make a call?
Well, no, I don't. Will call doesn't work because I need to get them out to the base.
Okay.
Right,
So
because we'll be distributing them from our offices on base.
Okay.
Armed Services will. So we get them in advance. So that's why it's important to get the word out as soon as we can, and for all your millions of listeners in Alaska and throughout the world.
We have 17 million. This last count.
If you have if you have Aces tickets, and you would like us to pick them up, you can call Keith or Armed Services Y at 552 or 552-9622, and we'll make arrangements to get them from you.
552-9622. And we'll give that number again.
Yeah.
552-9622. Buddy Witt is here with the Armed Services YMCA and Keith Montanak, especially Truck and Auto. Go ahead, Keith.
And if somebody's got tickets or money that they want me to come pick up from them, call me on my cell phone at 575-1637. I'd be happy to run across town and pick them up.
Give me your number again, buddy, just so
552-9622.
9622. Do you think that we have gone, and this, of course, is Veterans Day, it was so heartbreaking, and I was just a kid. Buddy, you probably weren't born. In late 60s, when the military went through what they went through when they returned from Vietnam, it's such a tragedy. Is that all gone now? Have we gotten over that? Are there still anti-military hippies hanging around a little bit, or is that movement dead?
I don't see it up here in Alaska. I think we are very fortunate to live in one of the most pro-veteran communities that I have ever seen in my life. Now I hear talk of Code Pink and others throughout other places, and I think they'd get run out of this state. I think there are so many people up here that are unabashedly pro-military and understand, and because we have been such a big military state for so long, we have so many veterans who have retired here. And for those who have never served here in Alaska, I think they see and recognize the value that there is in having a strong military and one that feels supported and welcome. And here in Alaska, you don't have to go very far outside the base gate to see folks who open up their arms and welcome you. It's quite amazing, I think.
You agree, Keith?
I would agree. I don't. If there are any anti-military groups in town, they're very intelligently keeping their mouth shut. But I think there probably still are some around the country. I don't know what they think they're trying to accomplish. But
our current president has clearly gutted the military. I don't think there's any disputing that. Now, that may change with a new president and a Republican Congress, but do you get that, buddy, when you deal with the military personnel? You just mentioned and I know you don't want to get political, but the cost of living increase is cut, $150 a month. And are you hearing that from some of the people you deal with, that, wow, things are getting tight?
No, I think they may feel that. But here again, I think that I go back to what I said before. And no matter who sits in that Oval Office or who is running things over in Washington, D.C., I think we have a military that is focused on service. They're focused on mission, and the other things that are outside of their control, they don't focus on because there's nothing they can do about it.
That's right.
And so whether or not that is true, and who knows, there's going to be a new person in 2 years, and who knows what's going to happen. I was a kid and a military brat when Carter was in office, and I remember in 1980 when Reagan won the election, my parents, I was a 6-year-old boy, and I remember my parents just jumping for joy about finally having someone who and they thought they'd be supported. But that doesn't go outside the house. That doesn't go outside the front door, and we don't see it. Whether or not it's happening, I couldn't tell you. But I can tell you that our military is focused on service, they're focused on mission, and we're focused on our mission to help them and help support their needs.
They don't get political.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't think it. I think again they are focused on the things that they can control, not on the things that they can't control.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that, which makes me think that it's that same mentality where it doesn't go outside the front door, and they keep it there. When they go outside that front door, they're focused on their mission. They're focused on what they have to do.
We're talking here with Buddy Witt. He's executive director of the Armed Services YMCA. Most people don't know how to get past the front gate and can't get past the front gate, but the YMCA, I think it's probably the easiest way for people to do that if you want to help.
That's right, and thank you for bringing that up. We count ourselves as a conduit between the community and getting services and programs out to military personnel and their families. We have over 20 different services and programs. We don't rely on, as other YMCAs do, where you have a membership and you're paying dues. We don't do any of that. We have our welcome centers. You're welcome to come in. It's free of charge. Use anything that we have. Most of our services are free. Others are very low cost.
Great popcorn.
And great popcorn, coffee, and and just if you have something that you think our military personnel would enjoy or need, just give us a call. Look us up on Facebook, Armed Services YMCA of Alaska. Go to our website, asymca.org.
It's almost hard to help if you don't call you. I mean,
that's true. We are the only nonprofit that does what we do in the state of Alaska on the military installation. So we're unique in that ability.
I can't think of a better cause.
Thank you, Dan.
I honestly can't. Yeah, when you talk about men and women in the military, let's just face it, the government sometimes falls short. They don't provide. The fact that military, and I remember, I'll never forget it. I was in the food pantry, and the guy who ran it for you guys started describing what it was like for a lot of times it was wives who had to come in because their husbands had been deployed for 6 months, and they just weren't making ends meet, and how that was such an emotional thing for them. And you think a guy's over in Afghanistan fighting for his country, and his wife and their children don't have enough to eat, and you guys jump in and fill that need. There's just no greater cause than that, in my opinion.
There's the only cause greater than that is the cause that they're fighting.
That's right. The number again at Armed Services YMCA, real quick.
552-9622.
Buddy Witt, Keith Montauk, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Great seeing you. 8:30, Fagan Biegel Bonnie. 30, Fagan Biegel.
Still being counted. That story from Ann Kendall.
More than 53,000 ballots will begin to be counted today. They include absentee ballots and ballots considered questionable and in need of further review. The count may finally settle the Senate and governor's races in limbo for a week, as well as provide final turnout figures.
Juneau police are investigating a man who was spotted secretly videotaping children in a store. An employee followed the man around until police arrived. Environmental groups are suing, they say, to protect walrus from drilling. They're asking a judge to throw out a federal agency rule that allows oil company exploration off Alaska's northwest coast. They say the agency has downplayed the effect it might have on walrus already harmed by diminishing sea ice. That's your Hot Talk News update. Local weather is next.
Rather cloudy today with a little rain, high 43. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a passing shower, low 33. Sun and some clouds tomorrow with a high 41 and a low tomorrow night of 23. Then for Thursday, partial sunshine throughout the day, high 36. Friday, sunshine, high 37. Then Saturday, sunshine and patchy clouds, high 34. Hot Talk breaking news and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
60.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Happiness isn't just a feeling that boosts your mood. Science proves that it can go much deeper than that, and it's something you can learn to control as well with your thoughts. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. If you're looking for a way to boost your happiness level, you can start by adopting a glass-half-full attitude. A Harvard study found that optimists are 50% less likely to have heart disease, a heart attack, or a stroke. Keeping an overall optimistic attitude actually offers protection against cardiovascular disease. Science doesn't fare as well for pessimists. They not only have lower levels of happiness compared to optimists, but research shows that people with negative thoughts are 3 times as likely to develop health problems as they age. So what do you do if you're not naturally a happy person? Experts say the key is to act as though you're an optimist, even if you're not. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Right now at the Home Depot, get a 10-year sealed battery smoke and carbon monoxide alarm start at just $24.97. So let's worry less. Let's do smarter fire safety. Alarms that won't turn off and batteries that won't chirp for 10 long years. Let's do this. Get a worry-free alarms starting at just $24.97. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only. See store for details.
When our water heater broke down last month, it took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. I felt like I'd been taken, but what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break. Just call 800-711-6816. That's 800-711-6816.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian.
A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything, from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
All my life, I've enjoyed hunting and fishing, but as I got older, it made it harder to enjoy the Alaskan outdoors. Thanks to Chugash Chiropractic, I'm back on the stream enjoying Alaska.
Besides aligning the spine, we also deal with the musculature and the nervous system of the body. To do that, we not only adjust the spine, but we also balance muscles along with various therapies and deep tissue therapy. We help bring the body back to normal function.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080. KO. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
8:35 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. We're broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT. Our good friend Mike Daniels over at Country Financial with his big team of country representatives here across the state of Alaska. There are 13 different Country Financial locations in Alaska. You're just not going to do any better than Country Financial when it comes to financial planning, any kind of financial matters, whether you're insured adequately. You know, you think about it, folks. You work very hard. You put a lot of time in building your nest egg, building up enough money to where that you can leave something for your children, where that you'll have a worry-free retirement. Would you not want all the wisdom and expertise assisting you in that endeavor? Of course you would. And that's where country representative comes in. They will pay for themselves in spades if you rely on their expertise through the years as you accumulate your nest egg. Mike Daniels will impress you. All of his country representatives will impress you. Give them a call. Set up an appointment. You have nothing to lose. Well, you actually have a lot to lose. You have quite a bit of money to lose if you make the wrong decisions in life. And they know stuff that you just don't have time to study, frankly. So give them a call. 866-COUNTRY. 866-COUNTRY. Glenn, country is spelled
COUNTRY.
I like the way Bonnie does it much better.
Yeah, well.
I mean, I know you gave it your best. You tried. That's all that matters.
I was put on the spot.
Yeah, where's the enthusiasm, Glenn?
I want to make sure. COUNTRY.
We need to get some
Is that
helium
better?
for him.
Now, this is something you'll never see. This is why you occasionally will find a local TV station. This is the beauty of the Drudge Report. This is the beauty of the Drudge Report. Occasionally, a local TV station that is not ideologically driven will do a conservative story. This kind of story would never make it on the CBS Evening News, ABC Evening News.
It would
NBC.
never make a difference. It would never be seen by anyone.
It would never be seen. It'd never get covered.
Right.
There's a reporter in, this is Georgia. 9 investigates illegal immigrants faking crimes. I'm sorry, not Georgia, South Carolina. Illegal immigrants faking crimes to stay in Charlotte.
What? So that they could stay and get 3 squares a day and get housed and fed inside the penitentiary.
I'll just read you a couple quick paragraphs. 6 years ago, Christian Fernandez faked that he was shot in the back outside a club. After months in the hospital, doctors told Fernandez he would be paralyzed from the chest down for the rest of his life. He spent most of the last 6 years in his bed in his family's living room in East Charlotte. Because he came to the United States illegally as a child, his mother could not get the help he would need to pay the mounting medical bill, so in 2013 he applied for a special visa that would give him a start on his residency. It's called U visa, and the government hands out 10,000 of them a year to victims of certainly mostly violent crimes. Turns out Fernandez was faking his injury. A U visa is good for 4 years, and just filling out an application can delay or stop deportation proceedings all along. Not surprisingly, that's led to a flood of applications at the Charlotte Police Department, where they have had more than 700 thus far in 2014 alone.
Look, our country depends on people doing the right thing because it's simply the right thing to do. You're not going to get as much money. You're not going to have as easy of a life. You're not going to have what other people have, even though they're not working in order to get it. I mean, I look at the amount of money that was given out to people who are on food stamps, or I think it's called supplemental nutrition assistance, and I don't want you not to do it because of the words that I'm about to say here if you truly need it to feed your family. But you are getting more money for food than I spend on my own family. So
Per child.
Per child, I would ask the question, why should I try? If I can get more from the government, and the reason I do it is because I'm a fool, right? Yep. I'm foolish because I don't want a check from the government because I know what that does to me. So I'm a fool, and our whole country depends on people being foolish and operating against their own financial best interest by not taking everything they can from the government.
Yeah.
It depends on that. And if we don't have that, and we have more and more people who are very comfortable, this is what Obamacare was about to me. What Obamacare was about to me was, okay, citizen, haha, here is your check. Go out and buy insurance. Then when you have your insurance and are ready to pay these outrageously expensive medical bills, come back to me and I'll give you another check and help you pay your medical bills. Well, I don't want a check from the government. I don't. I want to live as a free citizen where I earn what I get and the government doesn't give it to me. And I'm weird because I believe that way. But frankly, all the founders of the country believe that way because they know the person who feeds you writes your rules. That's your mom and dad. And if the government's going to feed you, frankly, they're your mom and dad. And as Michelle Obama is demonstrating, she tells you what to eat, how much to eat, what she thinks is good for her is going to be good for you.
Well, you know, this U visa thing, the reason that there's such a flood of people faking crimes is because the Justice Department is supposed to screen these. They've stopped.
Wow.
So now they've had like 400 already this year in 2014 because the word's out on the street, you can fake a crime, they're not going to check it out.
Look. This is if you whatever system as if it's not a really tightly controlled system, liars and cheats and thieves are going to do everything they can in order to break the system, and that's what they found out is the president wants people to break the system, and he's not having people enforce the laws that we passed so that the system wouldn't be broken. He wants the system broken, and he's going to keep doing it. And frankly, come December, this lawless president, he may do some very dramatic things with his pen.
Guess how many they've handed out this year in the country in 2014? 10,000.
10,000.
10,000 people. They've been a victim of a crime. They got a U visa.
Wow.
It's a 4-year deal.
Maybe this is how the president will allow
bring amnesty
10 million to stay here. I mean, who knows what they'll do?
How does Glenn?
Well, the Drudge is great, by the way. You brought up such a great point in that it's so much harder for the media to control what we know and what we think about things. For instance, they print a story about what Begich did as mayor, and I go and I correct the record down below with one paragraph that essentially walks people through, here's what this mayor did. Now, I don't know how many people are, 50% of people are just going to read the title of the story, but for the 50% of the people who read the story, they're going to go to the top-rated comment, which is going to be mine because I have the best argument against the mayor.
Yes.
It's a totally different world where I, being able to write on their website, am able to make counter-arguments so that they can't control the narrative. But it's the brilliance of the Internet, and I love it. Net neutrality, by the way, is a very dangerous tool that is coming out.
Oh, my goodness.
Most people don't understand what it is, by the way.
Somebody wrote, ADN, the other day, Obama controlling the Internet. What could go wrong? Well, let's talk about what it is, because I don't know much about it either. We'll talk about that when we come back. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Bonnie is off for the rest of the day. She'll be back tomorrow. Our number, 569-1080, 569-1080. We're streaming on danfagan.us. You can watch us right there on your computer, on your smartphone. We have an app, KOAN app. Type in KOAN, 1080 KOAN on your
Happy
app
Veterans
store.
Day, by the way.
Happy Veterans Day. Also, we're broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT, 95.1 FM, 92.5 FM in the Valley, 1020 AM in the Valley, 1080 AM in Anchorage. We're everywhere. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call, 569-1080, KOAN.
Hi, this is Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company. Sellers, if you are going to sell your home, now may very well be the best time. The current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates. Now is the time to take advantage of this uncommon phenomenon. We will look back at this period as a golden opportunity to buy or sell. Homeowners planning to sell should call us at 244-0821. We will be happy to come out and do a comparative market analysis at your convenience. Call Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
You live in Alaska, so it's cold, and it's going to get colder. That's why you need an award-winning heating company to keep you and your family warm all winter. You need Moore Heating. Moore Heating is Anchorage's premier Lennox dealer. They can provide you with the best pricing on all Lennox equipment and installations, including the Lennox 98% efficient furnace, the best, most efficient product of its kind on the market. And Lennox high-efficiency furnaces offer one of the best warranties on the market, with 10 years warranty on parts. And this month, right now, Moore Heating is offering a 10-year warranty on labor as well. So whether you need a new filter for your furnace, a new wood stove for your home or cabin, or information on an entirely new energy-efficient heating system, you need Moore Heating. Stop by and ask about this month's specials. 1801 Dowling Road, or call 561-1500. In the Valley, 376-1500. Remember the name, Moore Heating, because it's going to get colder.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com. Always live responsibly. Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley. KVNT.
13 ahead of 9 o'clock. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, right here on KVNT, KOAN, streaming video and audio on danfagan.us, danfagan.us. Our number, 569-1080, 569-1080. Let's go to Ray. Ray, you're on.
Hey, hi, Dan, Glenn. This is Ray in South Anchorage, one of your Methuselah type listeners, with a couple quick questions for your opinions on how the election is turning out regarding the question ballots ballots that are coming in.
Okay.
My first question to you, Dan, especially, is the Walker versus Parnell. It sounds like you're giving up a little on Parnell.
No, I changed on that. I think he's got a shot. Now that I look at the picture as I understand it, and I don't know that I do understand it, but I think there's enough votes out there where we could actually see Parnell pull this off. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know.
Same thing with Begich. You think Begich is in the running?
Done.
He's done.
He's done, unless he cheats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, maybe either you or Glenn or both can tell me. I was looking at the paper this morning, and there's something like 5,200 ballots at 200 absentee in-person type things in locations throughout the state.
Well, here the ADN Alex DeMarvin story says at least 50,000 ballots remain to be counted.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying these 5,200 ballots at 200 absentee in-person locations throughout the state. Sounds like those would be, 75 or 80% Begich and Walker to me.
Yeah, well, here, let me read the sentence so people at home will catch up with us. Our monkey wrench is an unknown number of ballots that were cast early at some 200 absentee in-person voting locations around the state. More than half of those sites were established in villages for the first time this year in rural regions that may skew in favor of Walker and Begich. Those ballots numbered about 5,200.
Well, that sounds like there's a lot of chance for chicanery to go on in those.
Yeah, boy.
So I was just wondering, when do you either of you have any idea when we can begin to get a feel for how things are turning out with this first round of counting the absentee question and other kind of ballots?
They're going to start counting at 1 p.m. here, and I think one of the reasons why
they're counting other parts of the state now.
They're counting other parts of the state now. One of the reasons why they restrict it is because there are lawyers present on all sides. And for question ballots in particular, there's a process that they have to go through so that the person says who they are. They have to make sure the person didn't vote in any other location, and that the person's signature or whatever method they use to prove who they were is sufficient. And a lot of times there will be a sealed ballot envelope, and you have to make the determination before the envelope is opened. You cannot open the envelope. Nothing inside the envelope can be seen before you determine whether or not the ballot will be counted or not. So it's a fairly difficult process. It's kind of messy if you ever go and watch it.
Well, Glenn, you seem to have a good handle on this. Do you see any way Begich can cheat here?
Sure. I believe the 5,200 votes, as Ray pointed out, are probably going to be 80-90% Begich, that they will skew not just a little, but they will skew heavily, because I think Democrat operatives essentially went out and mined these votes out of it. Now, that still doesn't get him where he needs to be.
But they don't necessarily have to cheat.
No, well,
what they did is they recruited voters.
Yes.
And then they said, so it's not cheating. It's not like people are voting against their wish.
The way that normal people want elections to be run is the media. Politicians spend money through a telephone call or through the media or whatever, through sending stuff to your mailbox to try and convince you, look, it's really important to be a citizen here. Could you please go vote and make sure that you vote for our guy? Now, that isn't Democrats, and then this happened in the Murkowski race particularly. They abandoned all that. They went down to the bar, and a bar, I'm using a bar specifically because this is the instance that I know of. They said, hey, Joe, or whatever the name of the guy was, get in the car with me. We're going to go down to the voting place. They took him down to the voting place, and 175 times on a write-in campaign, the exact same writing for Lisa Murkowski was used.
Because the person
because they would go and pick somebody up, take them down to the voting place, and then say, would you like assistance voting, sir? Yeah. Yes, I would like assistance voting. Thank you very much. They go into the polling place. They write out the ballot on behalf of the, quote, voter at that point. Now, see, to me, that is basically what cheating looks like. To our laws, which are very, very lax at this point, that's not cheating, but to everybody else, it's what it sounds like. So, Ray, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. This is what I believe. Mark Begich is not drawing this out because he wants to stick a finger in the electorate's eye. He's drawing this out because he's not sure how much he's cheated and how many votes he actually has. So that is why he's drawing this out.
Well, I will tell you this, Ray, from the people I've talked to on the Republican side, who are not necessarily directly involved in the campaign, but they have been involved in many campaigns, have told me that they've never seen a ground game like the one Begich launched in Bush, Alaska. Literally, the region has been invaded with people. We're talking 2-3 people per village hired there to live there for extended periods of time just for the purpose of recruiting votes. So, yeah, there's some potential here.
Well, I'll tell you, if I had to make a choice between Walker winning or Begich winning, I don't know. I just don't think we can take any more of Mark Begich. But at the same time, with Walker versus Parnell, who I always thought Parnell was a very decent guy, I remember this old saying that he who sups with the devil should use a long spoon. And I just wonder what Walker must have promised the guys like Al French, because they don't go down or into the gentle night very easily.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the big question.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep tuned to you guys.
Thanks, Ray.
Catch you 100% of the time, but I think you're great.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's the big question. What did Walker?
Well, this is the way I look at it. We know who Begich is. We know what he's going to do. We know he's going to fight against virtually everything that the state of Alaska needs in order to rise.
With and for anything the Democratic Party.
Right. And so Walker, to me, is more of a question. I'll take a question mark over a known. I know who Mark Begich is. I know for a fact who his friends are. I know how he's voted. I know what he's going to vote on virtually every single issue that comes up. And he will not be afraid of us anymore, by the way. So if you think that he has been bad to this point, oh, so much worse.
Well, I have two thoughts on it. Which is worse, Begich winning or Walker winning? Well, some might say, well, Begich, since the Senate is no longer under control, it's not such a big a deal. But trying to unseat him 6 years from now will be very difficult.
We'll never get to 60 if Begich is in there.
Exactly. So that would be the one thought. The other thought is there's just no doubt a governor could do much more damage than one senator. And if Walker is who we think he is, if he had any kind of help in the legislature, he'd do what he did, what Sarah Palin did, which was cause great harm to the state. I'm confident the legislature is not going to let Mr. Walker do what he wants to do. Mr. Chenault, Speaker of the House, said so yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know who he's going to be, by the way. You are convinced that he wants to go to war with oil. I'm not convinced of that. I'm convinced that he wants a gas line more than anything in life. More than a war, more than
does he just want a gas line, or does he want the state to have the controlling
That is the biggest question that is to be answered. And we will know that probably within the first 6 months as to whether or not the negotiations have essentially gone back and reset and his lawsuits are still in place.
Because Sarah Palin wanted a gas line as long as the producers didn't have any power.
Sarah Palin didn't, she was not qualified.
I should say Marty Rutherford.
She was not qualified to sit in office.
Yeah.
She did not know what she was doing. She took the absolute word of the people whom she placed her trust because she didn't have any experience. Now that's not who Walker is. He has been around this world. He has talked to a lot of people. He's sat in boardrooms. He's discussed with Exxon and BP and ConocoPhillips various things. Now, he's not on the same side whenever they go to war in court. So obviously that's a problem. But look, he's dedicated his life to getting this gas line. Sarah Palin didn't dedicate her life to anything. So it's a totally different scenario, Bill Walker to Sarah Palin, to me.
You know, I'm like you, Glenn. I've flirted with the notion of really liking Bill Walker. He has at points in my life impressed me. I think he's a wonderful family man. He's got a great wife, great kids. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I do, man.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying these are the questions.
But let's be positive for a minute. Let's believe the best in the guy. What if he's just so wily and smart that he knew the only way he could get in there is by making the deal with the devil, as Ray said. And then he gets in there and he says, "No, Mr. Beltrami, you're not in charge. No, Mr. Malott, we're not going to adopt your leftist views. And I'm going to do what's best for the state. And here's what I believe is best." And maybe it is best to stand up to the oil companies right now. And if we'll know.
Yeah.
We'll know, because here's what will happen. Sarah Palin, the way she handled it, the oil companies basically shut us down. They stopped investing. North Slope production dropped. Layoffs. We'll know. We'll know right away. If maybe he has a different approach, maybe he's tough through the courts, and then the oil companies respond, and then all of a sudden they invest much more. Who knows? We'll know. We'll know within the first 18 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll know within the first 3 months as to who he puts in various positions of power, how his judicial nominees are going to roll out. I mean, there's a lot we'll know.
If he's successful and he does not just want to go to war with Big Oil because he hates them, you and I'll be his biggest cheerleaders, right?
Absolutely.
Have a great Tuesday afternoon, folks. We'll have some vote counts for you tomorrow morning, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, don't forget that. Don't forget our veterans. 8:58, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel. See you tomorrow.
Into Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. on Hot Talk KOAN 95.1 FM, 1080 a.m. and online at 1080KOAN.com.